Hello and welcome to another pre-match interview for the Beacon World League, and this week I am joined by none other than Tween. How are you doing?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I'm doing very well, and I'm excited to talk about some stuff.
Nice, it's lovely to have you on. I'm sure lots of people know you from TM World Tour, TMGL before that. How are you finding Beacon? I mean, you've just come off the back of two victories. Presumably, you're doing all right.
So I mean, for me, it's a bit of a comeback of a style that sort of went out of fashion, I would say, but now it's back, and that suits me, so I'm not going to complain, and I think that this style is just very, very flexible, and yet it doesn't feel like like a circus show at times, so I'm very much enjoying myself.
Good. Have you found the transition from TM World Tour style maps back to maybe more traditional comp style, although granted Beacon ones are quite hard in that genre? Have you found it a hard transition back to that?
There are maybe some multi-programs running inside me when I'm playing, It's like on the World Tour maps, sometimes you would maybe just focus on just driving in, an average type around and just let it be decided in some wacky identity, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I notice myself that I'm maybe being way too safe and expecting a big thing to come right around the corner,
Yeah.
And it just isn't happening. You just jump into the finish, and all of a sudden you're third, and maybe could have pushed for the first position, So
yeah.
So that's something that's not that easy, but maybe I've always been that kind of player. So it's hard to say if that's really what's happening, but I'm trying to be mindful of it.
Yeah. Is that I don't want to touch on a sore subject here, but do you think maybe that's why you didn't get the seed one? The top division seed. Were you surprised that people like Epos and Boz and that came straight out the gates by doing 0.2 off their PB consistently?
Yeah, that's one thing that is it's not really a surprise, because I've known it for some time, but it still seems like a surprise that the level is really high, and at this point in the game, you can't really rely on just being at your best, being fully practiced. You have to also maybe find some sort of edge to your play, and that's really difficult. And if you're not fully practiced, then it's going to be tough for you. And it's sort of what happened there, because I think I maybe played for 3 or 4 full days of practice, or I think I've had 3 or 4 hours on each map.
Yeah.
By the time that the time attack seeding was over, so I think that has a simpler explanation, I guess, and I just needed more time to practice. But I've been having fun doing that, so yeah.
That's good. Yeah, because it seems like the practice is starting to pay off now. I mean, you absolutely dominated in your first play week. Is there anything that surprised you within your first couple of matches within your week one games? Sort of the level of anyone that was playing, or just how they were played in the maps were played in matches? Anything that sort of stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've touched upon it already, but really it's just the level is so high that you have to really, maybe you have to adapt. You have to maybe try to play to your opponent's weaknesses sometimes, and I think that's what happened, especially in the first match for me, because I was having a tough time. I was being chased down by XY, and we were having a very close match up until the very end, actually, where I made a couple of mistakes, and it got to the point where it was just decided in one round, and I managed to take it home. But XY's performance is just emblematic of the level just being very equalized over time, and like those players that like you would say that like make up the majority of Div 2 players are already like super tough to play.
Yeah.
And it's not a surprise. It just, it keeps happening, and it's always a surprise.
Yeah. So was there a change in mindset between your first and second games then? Because like you say, the first game that you had, you ended up in last chance shootout, and then in your second game, you ended up with 43 points left over against Acros, who everyone was saying could possibly be, top 1, 2, or 3 positions. So was there a change in your approach to that game?
But not really. I was just feeling a lot more secure, and I think also Kroos made some mistakes early in the match, and maybe felt like he had to catch up later. And I was just feeling very comfortable at the very start of the match, and I just in the first match I felt like I had to change over the course of the match, and here I just I was already warmed up from the first match and just played my game. And it just kept working, so I had no reason to change anything.
Fair enough. So after your performance in the first week, how do you think you'll end up overall? Are you gonna try to win Div 2, or are you just gonna try and get promotion, or have you got a goal overall?
I'd say it's still really the goal is clear and has been since the start for me, and it's to make the top 2 spots, nothing more, nothing less. I'm being trailed by Yvonne, who is an amazing player, and I think we were meeting in the very last play day, so
yes, you are,
anything can happen there. And if he manages to beat me, and he is capable of that, definitely, and he might just take the first spot. But to be quite honest, I'm okay with that. The top 2 is the goal.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. I think that's who a lot of people thought the top 2 was going to be, was yourself and Evon. So yeah, the last week battle is going to be great to watch, I think. So how do you feel about the addition of sort of fastest lap points and match records, that type of thing? Do you think that it adds something to the format?
It definitely adds something. It's I like the feeling that when maybe I'm having a decent round and maybe other people fall off, then I can still there's no points to be grabbed. Maybe you could say it's slightly even overpowered, and there's maybe too many points to be grabbed at that point. But I think that's the only thought I have. Maybe 1 point a map is a bit too much, but other than that, I think it adds something to the league. As a player, it makes it interesting to drive even around where you maybe could save, and there's an element to it of risk. I have no idea how well the others are going to be playing for the next 3 rounds, let's say.
Yeah.
So I have to take some consideration, how much do I want to push to maybe secure the 1 point, and that 1 point is quite a lot. I mean, as I've said, that maybe is a bit too much even, but I mean, we as players, we have to adapt to that, and I mean, I don't think I've ever been the slow player, so it fits me.
Right, okay.
I'm more of a
pace.
Constantly pushing. Yeah. Trying to push the pace, but maybe not as much as some guys. Brent comes to mind. He was always the absolute pace beast in matches. But yeah, I think it fits me, and it's a nice way to score some more points. Yeah,
I think it's given some interesting results. I don't know if you saw, but halfway through the week 1 games, there was a point where Megorian beat Neil within the match itself, but then Neil got more fastest lap points, so ended up ahead of him. So I think it's it leads to some interesting sort of dynamics within the game where possibly Megorian could have pushed a bit harder and won those extra points. But how do you feel about the map pack overall? Because I mean, there's some interesting tracks in there that maybe aren't suited to what people would see as your sort of style, coming from a more tech background. But then in the 2 additional maps that got released last week, had the Clem and Kerberos ones that I think are possibly a bit more tech oriented.
Yeah, I'm bring the map pack a lot because I mean I've already said it like in the post-match interview, but it was quite a lot of like quite a big part of the decision to sign up for and like feel like I can do it and I can actually like have fun playing the maps and I can train up quickly. It's just that I played through the maps and I decided like, yeah, I'm having fun. Like, why wouldn't I play this? Why would I, like do anything else if I'm just having some free time? So that was the major point to that. And obviously I played Meltdown first and I was like, yeah, this is going to be super tough. And I think in the end that it's the most difficult map of the map pack. I mean, you can get like a decent consistency, but at least for me it's a very just like there's so much to push for in a time attack setting. So that's a specific map, but other than that, I think like maps such as Gallifu and Miata, especially, like those are very traditional tech styled, I would say. Like obviously there are some mixed elements there, but it just feels and flows like a tech map basically. Like a more difficult map that you would encounter in like 2015.
Yeah.
And there are 2 more which I also enjoy. I mean, maybe there are a couple of terms of perseverance that are not like my favorite ones, but other than that, I think the map pack is really great, and I see the vision of the tournament in that, and I see personality in them, and yeah, I'm having fun.
Nice. So your upcoming games this week, you've coming up against some lower seeds, but I feel like there could be a couple of thorns in your side. So first match, you've got Max Track, Broly and Manta. Have you got a plan going into any of these games? Because Broly has the world record on Ruby at the moment, I believe. So have you got a plan to sort of get a higher seed and then ban that? Or are you just going to full train Ruby and try and beat him in his own game?
I'm not going to sell my strats that easily, but yeah, so I mean, Broly is one of those players that like is really showing up, and with times such as his Ruby personal best, it's like you have to consider like, do I push this map because I know he's going to pick it, or are you going to ban it? Like,
yeah,
you have to make a decision at some point in the week, and yeah, I mean, that's I'll be honest here, I don't know yet, like which of these alternatives I'm going to opt for, but yeah, he's obviously a contender. He is he's shown up even in the first 2 matches, and like I can feel that he's going to come in hungry, because like if we are fighting for the top 2 spots in division, then he's very close to that, and he's going to take every opportunity to get there. So yeah, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, definitely. And then your second match, I believe, is Ike Wolf, Josh, and Demotivator. Do you fancy your chances against those a bit better? I believe they're all relatively lower seeds. I mean, Ike Wolf in 7th could be a bit of an obstacle.
Yeah, I remember Demo's route into the 30-second spot, because he was very afraid, and it was really fun, because like the only I only remember him like in the round seeding, like I was like spectating him, and he was not having a good round, you know. So
oh, no.
I was like, I was spectating him because the round was over already, and I was like, I hope like this doesn't cause you to drop out of the 30-second spot in the end, and thankfully it didn't. But that's what I remember from the route seeding.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think Josh is one of those players who's possibly underperformed slightly in first week. So, because he seeded quite highly, I believe he actually seeded above Evon. So yeah, I think
maybe even above me. I'm not sure.
Was he? Ah, right. Okay. I should probably have checked that before I came. But yes. So yeah, I think that's the thing. Like the level is so high that I think any of these players could prove to be a bit of an obstacle. But I think that about draws us to a close here. So best of luck in your games at the weekend, and thanks very much for coming on. Was there anything else you wanted to say or get out there before we say goodbye?
Thank you very much again for having me, and just keep on doing the good work, and yes, players, we are having fun, and thank you for the tournament in general. Like it's very refreshing to play these maps, and I'm having a great time. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thanks very much for joining us.